Hey guys, it's Manny here, the Blackcyclist. Really glad that you could join me for this Descending 101. I almost didn't put this video out. I was looking through my archive and I saw it and I was like, oh wow, okay. This is too good not to share. So I recorded this back in last year, yeah. I think it was March 2022. I was out in Spain for like a month with James McKay here, who's a good friend. James is an elite rider here in the UK. He's currently with Team Sheffield, and he spent some time over in France as well. So very competent elite cyclist. He puts in a lot of miles. He knows what he's doing. So, you know, as we were training, I think it's like a 5-hour day on the bike, and before we started this descent, I was like, James, can I get you to record a descending tutorial for me to show on YouTube at some point? And you know, he obliged me. I told him not to try to go too hard, but just to focus on, you know, applying the correct technique and principles. But naturally, as you can see, you know, if you apply the correct techniques when you're descending, you go fast anyway. So here we are. So just a couple of things we're going to cover today. Obviously, you know, making sure you prepare your bike, understanding the terrain, lay of the land, understanding the braking, cornering, and also finally aerodynamic. So first things first, as you're riding, you notice at the very start of this video there were some wet patches on the road. James noticed that really early on, and you can see right here he's avoiding those wet patches because we're high up in the mountains, and even though it's sunny, a lot of that snow and sometimes that ice, because of that shaded part and part of because that side of the road is kind of shaded, or that particular, the ice hasn't melted properly, so it can be tricky. And last thing you want to do as well is you don't want to sort of contaminate your wheels and then your tires and then go lean into a dry corner on wet tires. It's not ideal and you might slip off. So James straight away taking stock of that as the experienced rider that he is. Another thing to bear in mind as you're riding, you always want to be looking on the horizon to try and see what the lay of the land is. So if you cannot see a corner, you cannot see how the land sort of like the horizon, how it sort of pulls away, then you have to be super cautious, because you could, you know, be going into a 180 if you can't see what's around the other side. Road signs are really useful. It's an underrated thing, but as cyclists, you want to be paying attention to road signs. Generally, you know, I've always got my Wahoo map on, so that gives me a heads up on, you know, the kind of the bends that are coming up. But if you're riding blind and you've never done this descent before, you know, never done the particular descent before, pay attention to the road signs. So that pretty much, and obviously road surface is important. If it's dusty, you know, you might lose traction. If it's gravelly, you pay attention to all of that. So you slow down, you know what that means is you adjust the way you lean into the corner, and you adjust the speed that you go into the corner if the road surface is not ideal. Also, if the banking is not ideal, you know, if you've got like offset banking, that's like, you know, the best way to explain it is if it's like the opposite of like the velodrome and you're sliding and the road is sort of sliding away, you have to be super cautious, because you go into a bend like that, you're going to slide off, because naturally it's like a landslide, the road is slipping off. You know, you don't have the security of the banking. If you go at banking, you know, if it's on camber, you can hit it as fast as you want, but if it's off camber, don't risk it. So that's the cornering side of it. Braking wise, you always want to make sure you got your index and your middle finger on the brakes. That gives you most power. You don't really want to have just one thing on the brake. You want to be able to have it, you know, to be able to really sort of, you know, push on those brakes. But while we're talking about braking as well, make sure you're not too heavy on the braking, because if you are, you've got to make sure that you counterbalance by pushing your weight back. Because if you're leaning too far forward and you're braking and your weight is forward, your front brake, you know, the bike is going to flip you over. Now, braking wise, I think it's a 70-30 rule. When applied evenly, most of the 70% of the stopping power comes from your front brake, so you have to bear that in mind. And then 30% comes from your rear brake when applied evenly. So you need both, but understand that your front brake is the brake that's going to save you. You always want to do all your braking before you enter that corner. So once again, you see that road sign saying there's you know, the road is bending right. It's not dramatic because we can see from that corner. Normally, another thing to bear in mind is if I'm riding behind another rider and we're going through a corner, I'm able to see how that rider is taking that corner, and I can adjust to that rider. So if I see that rider pedaling through that corner, then I see that, that gives me the go ahead to then think, oh, it's not really a tight corner, because if it's tight, the rider would not pedal through the corner, and I'm able to make that gains. So you can see right here, we talk about signs again. That road sign is telling us, you know, there's a left and then there's a right. So just got to be mindful of that. Always read the road signs. Now, as we're going through that bend, you can see James has got his inner leg. His inside leg is up to the 12 o'clock position. So he's going through that left-hander. Inside leg, 12 o'clock position. Outside leg, 6 p.m. So he's putting all his weight on his outside leg, and his inside leg, literally no weight at all. That's because if you do put too much weight in your inside leg and you start pedaling as well in that corner, your inside leg, because you're leaning into that bend, might clip the floor and you come off. So right here, you can see done all the braking, and he's just flowing now. He's just gliding through that corner, and he just has that slingshot. He does that so well. I get close to him, but the way he just slingshots out the corners, I don't know, he's just perfected that technique. So that's something that always sort of struck me. But he goes through that corner, inside leg up to 12 o'clock position, outside leg 6 o'clock position, just counterbalancing, and you only start pedaling once you exit that corner. Finally, aerodynamics is really important. You just stay chill, relax your upper body, just relax and enjoy it. You know, if you're tense, by the time you get down the descent, you're gonna feel your shoulders and your neck all tense up, and it's gonna be sore. So relax your body, get low on the bike, because if you're sitting right up, it's actually a little bit dangerous, because if you're sitting up, you're just like a parachute. The wind wants to blow you off the bike. So the lower your center of gravity is, the more control you have over your bike. So you get your head down on your stem and just relax and enjoy the sections like this when, you know, the road is just straight, no turns. You can hit it at 40 miles per hour plus. This is why we climb, so we can descend. I really enjoyed this particular descent because there were technical aspects of it, and then you also have the fun aspect of it. But yeah, mostly it's just being able to, you know, record James as he masterfully descends this particular mountain. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to behold. It was a pleasure to share with you guys. So if you've got any questions at all, if you think I missed anything, comment below. If you want to also see more clips like this, let me know. Right on cue. It's like my guy thinks he's Superman. He took off his cape to reveal his Blackcyclist Network jersey. He's about to get ready for his next interval. So I think he had a 10-minute effort at the next climb. And there he goes. So that's another thing that, you know, a lot of elite riders and pros will do. They don't always ride flat out. You know, they will ride out zone 2, zone 3. And then they'll mix it up with some interval sessions on the climbs. And that's exactly what James is doing here. Obviously me and him were on different programs, so he did his thing, and yeah, and I just rode steady, tranquilo, caught up with him, and yeah, and made it back home. So yeah, huge thanks to James for this, and obviously my man Snoop as well, who was with us on the training camp, but not on this particular ride.
As you can probably tell. Couple occasions you need a bit of still, you need a bit of composure, but that's why we climb, so we can descend. Whew, and enjoy the views.
Thank you for watching our latest vlog. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you want to see more content from us.